I cannot believe the ignorance and the disrespect that's going around the Ange Postecolgou Spurs appointment, and I thought I've got to make a video to give Spurs fans 3 reasons to be excited about this appointment and why I believe this is going to be a monumental season for Tottenham and Ange Postecolgou. Sprinkled into the video will be some predictions and some forecasts based on my analysis, based on having watched the guy very close range at Celtic for the last couple of years. At any point in the video, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel, share and retweet and all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble and let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, Ange Ball, or, you know, his tactics, his philosophy, whatever you want to think of it as, from his time at Celtic, as well as when he was in Yokohama, as well as when he was the Australian national manager, is all about attacking football. It's all about creating opportunities to score goals and go on and attack. And once I've had the best kind of once over, twice over of the Tottenham squad as it stands at the moment, I think there's a lot to be excited about for what the manager can pick up and get moving in the squad already. I hear a lot of Tottenham fans and a lot of like English Premier League football experts talking about the massive overhaul that's required at Tottenham, and I definitely agree. Looking at the squad, that is 100% on the cards. But in the immediate term, the manager does have a 4-year contract, or I should probably stop calling him the manager now. Ange Postecoglou does have a 4-year contract there. And this season, and with some other stuff we'll get into later in the video, I don't think there's as much immediate urgent surgery as maybe you would think here. Now, who knows what will actually happen? And I'm not going to sit here and say what transfers will happen, won't happen, whatever. But with the current roster, if I was to try and just put myself into Ange's shoes, knowing what I know about the man, and think, right, where would he start? First of all, I think Son Heung-min is the most obvious one. I would not be surprised one bit if we've seen the best version of Son in the Premier League. And that is saying something, because Son has produced some incredible numbers for Tottenham. He feels, you know, whenever I see Son do, you know, media work and that kind of stuff, he feels very wed to Tottenham. He doesn't really feel like he's going anywhere anytime soon. He likes being the superstar in a top-end Premier League team. I think he's desperate to win something, and I think with his exposure, I think he will be very bought in from day one, and he's a very core part of, in what my opinion is from a distance, the Spurs changing room. I've left the centre forward position here blank. I'm not too sure what's going on with Harry Kane. It does feel like he should be leaving Tottenham. Finally, Real Madrid really do need him. Finally, Bayern Munich really probably should entertain signing him, but I think they're going to go for Vlahovic. But if Kane was to stay, then that would be, even if Spurs were just to do it to chop their nose off, keep him on his last year of his contract and play him, because I genuinely think Kane and a Postecoglou team would potentially have the, you know, I really want to be careful here, but I really want to see it. He would have the potential, because he did score similar goals this season, to outscore Haaland, to be, he could be Golden Boot winner. And from whenever I listen to Harry Kane, his life seems to revolve around beating Alan Shearer and being the top goal scorer in the Premier League. So he might not move to Real Madrid off his own back or whatever else happens. But I've left that blank. Maybe Richarlison could play there as well. Maybe he goes and signs somebody. But whoever is going to be the centre forward is going to be asked to play on the shoulder, to play on the last man. And that's not a lazy job. It's a real press of a job. But they need to be there for tap-ins and goals. And Harry Kane, if he stays, will eat that up for fun. And how good is this? The guys at QuinnBet have enhanced their UK welcome offer, where you can now get a free bet up to £35. It's for new customers that sign up only. You can check out the full terms and conditions on their website, quinnbet.com. The link is in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. By clicking on that link and signing up directly, you do support all the content here at the channel, and I thank you in advance if you do so. It looks really impressive to me, but remember folks, it is 18 plus and always gamble responsibly. I've got Kulusevski out here because you need to have hard-working wingers in an Ange Postecoglou team. I wouldn't be too surprised if Kulusevski found himself in midfield. Celtic fans might call this the Matt O'Reilly job, but for Matt O'Reilly at Celtic, tactically, he's played very much in a Kevin De Bruyne kind of role, if you can imagine. So, you know, Kulusevski's got the stature and some of the technical qualities where maybe he could, you know, something we might see. A huge part of Ange Ball has been the Rio Hatate, the playmaker that goes all over the side of the pitch and is interlinking with play, playing final balls and getting on the end of stuff themselves and going past people and causing things. Now, I know Healing hasn't done amazing at Spurs. He's actually just won the Europa League with Seville, of course. But if he was to come back to London, you know, his loan is up at the end of the season, wouldn't be surprised if Ange took a shine into him and could really get a good tune out of him, because he's very talented. And it is just about, with a lot of the players at Tottenham, I know Bentancur's got a big injury. This might be Højbjerg if Bentancur isn't back. in any reasonable time scale. I think Bissouma, you could expect to see Brighton Bissouma come back, and he could be a real work ethic machine in here in this kind of, you know, defensive midfield position. Left-footed centre-back and Romero looks good to me. And Destiny Udogie is a very exciting, very progressive fullback who, you know, Tottenham, I think, have done fantastic business to get in. And I could see him really coming in, and maybe not start every week or whatever, but I think he's somebody who could become quite prominent, as is with Pedro Porro. Now, Ange Ball at Celtic was quite well known for the inverted fullback kind of thing that we've seen on the go. I think Pedro Porro would be a great candidate to do that. João Cancelo, Zinchenko, Greg Taylor kind of job for Tottenham, because of his technical ability on the ball, but he does have power and pace, so he might be a bit more of like the Alistair Johnson, the actual bombastic wide option here. And maybe Udogie, maybe Sessegnon, maybe somebody else plays in this kind of inverted fullback. Maybe it's somebody unsuspecting that, you know, we couldn't possibly foresee at this point. I think the main holes here at Tottenham is going to be in goals and a main rock of a centre-back. I'm not convinced by like Dyer, Longley. A lot of these guys have just been at Tottenham for too long. They're not good enough. They're maybe on their way out anyway. But I think a really big goalkeeper option, a big defender. And then with a lot of these other pieces, like I said, a lot of them could be changed and interchanged. But I do think there's a good set of players here that Ange could pick up very quickly and get a very, very good tune out of. So that's reason one. I think the skeleton of the mess of the Tottenham squad actually could be forged into something halfway usable. The second part is Ange is a manager that has already proven that he has the personality, the ability to scale up his tactics, his philosophy. Of course, we're all going to look down, Celtic fans included, not me, but a lot of other ones. Australian football, very much a bottom tier division in the world terms. Japan, a little bit above that. But in the interim of that, he was the Australia manager, qualifying for World Cups, but also winning Asia Cups with Australia. And you might discredit that and think, oh, well, it's just really Australia, Korea, and Japan. Who else is in there? But Australia have not won very many of them. High level, high expectation, tournament football, final situations. He is Australian. He's super patriotic. That is his, you know, it's like a, you know, it's the Asia Cup final for Australia. You know, it's a big accolade for him to do. Then scale that up into the J League where you're not speaking English. You're using translators, different culture, different style of football, out the hoo-ha. We all know about that. But to then translate that again into Scotland and into the Champions League, and you might be pausing right now and thinking, Quinny, Champions League, what are you talking about? Now, Celtic's Champions League group stage this season was Real Madrid, Shakhtar, and RB Leipzig. 3 out-and-out Champions League caliber teams. Shakhtar, of course, are, you know, not a powerhouse behemoth team, but they're in the Champions League all the time. We know about the Red Bull machine at Leipzig, and we know, of course, about the Harlem Globetrotters of Real Madrid. But in the Champions League season, to this point, Celtic, of course, only competed in the Champions League group stages, and when we look at all the key attacking metrics, particularly per 90 minutes, Celtic are in the top 10 for shots per 90, top 3 for crosses, 14th out the 32 teams that made the group stages for touches in the penalty area. And overall, Celtic's downfall in Europe this season was not taking chances. We had an XG of 10 goals and only scored 4 of them. Now, regardless of what you think about Scottish football and Celtic, building a Champions League team to play against Real Madrid, Leipzig and Shakhtar, and the main problem was you couldn't put the ball in the back of the net from 6 yards out, from 12 yards out, when you're in high XG situations where you should be scoring, not putting it away. I don't know what more you could possibly ask of a manager at that point to show their ability to scale up. Now, of course, this is the ultimate scale up question mark, is going to the Premier League, the pinnacle of world football, where the elite of the elite play, where all the money is, where all the attention is, where all the science, the technology, everything is at its peak in the Premier League. This will be the big test for him, but I think there's far too much proof in the pudding to be showing the disrespect and everything else that's going around him. And I just think that's second point. He scales up well in adversity. Champions League minnows Celtic, fighting out there with the good and the great of European football, going to Yokohama, not knowing the language, even with Australia. And you know, the last guy that learned a thing or two in Japan before showing up in North London didn't do too badly either. And I know from talking to Tottenham fans when I was recently at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium that they want exciting, attacking football. And this is what this man has delivered on every scale-up opportunity he's had. Ange is absolutely fantastic when he is moving into these positions, because I know as a Celtic fan, the amount of Ange fans that came to Celtic was incredible. And I know the same thing is probably going to happen here for Tottenham. And that's what Pochettino delivered when he was at Tottenham, is he really brought the fans in and he brought the fans along for the journey. And that Tottenham stadium, honestly, eventually you get some noise out of it. Even when I was there against Man City, where it was on tenterhooks, and I wouldn't even say the atmosphere was that great, but the noise was still incredible. I think it's a fantastic petri dish of an environment for him to come into and continue to scale up. And then the third reason I would be mad excited if I was a Tottenham fan right now is I think we have another potential blue moon Leicester could win the Premier League kind of situation. What do I mean by that? I expect Man City and West Ham to win their European finals, which next season means we'll have 8 clubs from the Premier League competing in the 3 European competitions. Probably in some way, shape or form. There's not too much jeopardy on any of them falling off completely and not playing European football at this point. Tottenham and Chelsea are the only 2 major clubs that are not going to have that exposure this season. We've seen how close Arsenal came this year. Yeah, I know they had Europa League, but they completely disregarded it. They rotated heavily and they almost kidded on it wasn't a thing until they got into the latter stages. And even then, they prioritised the league quite comfortably over it. If Man City do go on and win the Champions League, of course it will be rinse and repeat for them, but they will also have the Club World Cup to play, and that is an extra trip, an extra set of fixtures, and we know how troublesome that's been for Liverpool and Chelsea in the past. Arsenal and Man United in Champions League football, and they will be pushing to try and become champions themselves. Newcastle, Brighton, Villa and West Ham, all prominent mid to top half table teams, will also have midweek football for a large part of the early season. And Liverpool, maybe they go into that Arsenal mode like I described earlier, rotate heavily, whatever, but that's still 8 significant clubs in the league that will have way more matches than Tottenham. Will have to spread their squad even thinner across even more games. And maybe not this season in particular, but this could be a great opportunity for Tottenham, not been in Europe, taking Ange in, doing the surgery that's needed with the team, allowing him to get the fans bought in, allowing the club to scale up with his style of football. And you know, man, stranger things have happened. I'd love to hear if you're a Tottenham fan and you were a bit pessimistic or doubtful before watching this video, if it's changed your mind at all. Otherwise, if you did have fun, you learned, you liked something, I don't know, whatever. I hope you did like and subscribe to the channel, share and retweet and all that good stuff, guys. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.